A lot of times in science, the system and the environment are treated as separate things because science likes to simplify stuff, create simple models, and they can be useful, but eventually they all break down because you can't have an object and its environment as two separate things, because the object is always within the environment, always responding to the environment, always living and surviving within the environment. And where does my environment begin and I end? You see? Like, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you, and it might seem like I am separate from my environment. But am I really? No. Because that environment, the air that I'm surrounded with, it's entering my lungs right now. How do you separate the air in the atmosphere here from the air that's in my lungs and in my blood and supplying my brain with the oxygen it needs in order to process all this information and to speak to you right now? And the speaking that's happening, that's air waves, oscillations in air that's happening, that my throat, muscles, and all this, the voice box is producing all this. So there's a seamless interface between any organism and its environment. And that's extremely important to understand. And of course, science does understand this. A good scientist understands this. But still, oftentimes not deeply enough. Not deeply enough. To really understand an organism, for example, you need to understand the environment that it lives in. Charles Darwin made some great discoveries and breakthroughs in understanding that. But still not enough. Like, you have to really look at the entire Earth very holistically. Because the way that, for example, geese migrate from north to south and so forth, that depends on various jet streams and winds that are blowing through the Earth's atmosphere, which of course depends on various temperature changes, global warming, solar flares, and the position of the Earth relative to the sun. All of this affects how geese navigate. And of course, the goose's navigational system that it has in its brain is, of course, dependent on the Earth's magnetic poles. What if we had a pole reversal, which happens every couple 100,000 years or so? Or every million years, I don't know how often it happens, but pole reversals do happen on this planet where north and south gets flipped. Scientists still don't really understand why that happens. But that's going to screw with the goose migration patterns. Might kill all the geese, or maybe some new goose will evolve, right? You gotta see how all this is interconnected. And that's what systems thinking is. So when you become a really good systems thinking, see my episode, Intro to Systems Thinking. That's a very profound and powerful episode too, where you start to learn how to look at the world in terms of systems, not individual elements, how every element is interacting with other elements in this complicated web. And this is sort of the beginning of holistic thinking. Very important to start to look at the world that way. And most people can't do that because they're stuck in their very rigid dualities.